Hey guys, welcome back to another too long didn't watch video. Today we're going to be going over Hu Tao since she's getting a rerun of her banner soon when Toma comes out. Alright guys, before we jump into it, we're going to go ahead and talk about our normal disclaimer. If you want to take any character in this game and make them your main DPS, by all means, feel free to do that. You can do that in Genshin Impact. But for all of our videos, we normally talk about, what characters are good at, and in this case, Hu Tao is a good damage dealer, so let's get into it. Alright, so you can see that we went hard into HP, 37,000, 1900 attack. Look at that crit damage, that crit rate ratio, that's 60% to almost 200%. It's nuts, boys. This set that we have on her is awesome. We are going to be running the Reminiscence set. It happens to work out really well for this character, and I'll explain a little more why later on. You can also use the Flame Witches set, either one is fine. So right here we're using our E skill. It's going to give us a bunch of attack based on our HP. So now we go up to 4100, almost 4200 attack. For the entire duration, it's also going to imbue her charge and normal attacks with pyro damage. So here you're going to see Hu Tao using her ultimate, just a bunch of damage that you can hit in an AoE. It also does heal you based on the number of enemies you hit. So Hu Tao's first passive grants crit rate at the end of her E skill, which is the big large attack bonus. It doesn't actually work on her, it only works on the rest of your team, but it kind of works out because after her E skill is done, you normally want to switch to a different character. Her second passive is when things start to get really interesting. So when her health is at or below 50%, she's going to get an additional 33% pyro damage bonus. What this passive means is that you're going to be playing more high risk, high reward. So you're going to be wanting to have Hu Tao below 50% health pretty much at all times. This plays perfectly with her best in slot weapon, the Staff of Homa, because the condition is the same. You want to be below 50% HP to get that bigger benefit. Her final passive is that when you make dishes, you have a chance of getting a suspicious dish. I'll be honest, I never really use this. This is not interesting or really worth it at all for the character. It's just kind of fun and silly. So the Staff of Homa is her best in slot weapon. It is quite literally meant to work exactly the same way as Hu Tao. Both the weapon and her passives want you to be below 50% HP so you can double down on that same condition. If you do have the Staff of Homa, it also allows you to stack HP more effectively to increase your attack during the duration of your E skill. On top of that, if you have a huge health pool, 50% HP is oftentimes more than a full 100% HP you might have on another damage dealer. If you do have the Staff of Homa, like I said, you really can just full go into HP and not have to worry about losing any damage at all. It's actually more effective for you to have HP than it is for you to run an attack when it comes to your gear. If you don't have Staff of Homa, Deathmatch is another option, and again, you're going to be focusing more on attack instead of HP on your gear for your substats and stuff. Before we start talking about what I think about Hu Tao, there's one more thing I wanted to mention that I forgot about her E skill. I didn't so much forget, it's just something I don't really think about. So what you're seeing right now is after you hit a unit with her fire imbue from her E skill, it adds a flower to them. What this flower will do is that every 4 seconds it will do a small tick of fire damage, and it'll do it 2 times, so 8 seconds total duration. Honestly, the damage is so low for it that I don't really consider it to be a big deal, and I wouldn't recommend really trying to play off of it in any way, shape, or form. So I personally, and a lot of people in the Genshin Impact community, really like this team setup right here. What you'll see is that Xingqiu and Hu Tao pretty much go together like bread and peanut butter. Just meaning that you're going to see them together a lot in most teams. What you're seeing right now is her double Geo comp where, you get more elemental mastery from Albedo, which is going to help out your vaporize damage. But there's also this really awesome passive that Noelle has. So Noelle's passive will actually give you a huge shield if a character falls below 30% HP, which is what's going to happen a lot. In case you don't like the double Geo comp, I know personally I actually don't really like Geo that much. I do enjoy running a double Ice comp with this team. This would mean that you can slack with your crit a little bit if you need to, but also things are going to be frozen a fair bit when it comes to using Xingqiu along with these double Ice comp. The damage bonus you're going to get from melting or vaporizing is going to be awesome in this team composition. I'd say this one is just a higher risk, higher reward. If you do use Diona, it is going to be harder to stay below 50% HP, so just make sure you're watching that. If you do have a big health pool, it makes it easier because she probably won't heal a ton. So one last thing you need to know about Hu Tao. What you're seeing right now is called an N1C. It's a charge attack into a jump to cancel it early. It's technically called an N1C because it's a normal attack into a charge attack, because you can't just go straight into a charge attack, unfortunately. It is a little bit of a technique that you will want to learn how to do if you really want to min-max the amount of damage that Hu Tao can put out with her charge attacks. So we're going to be focusing mainly on her charge attack damage because of the set that we're using. It does mean that we won't be using her ult as often as we could if we were using like the Crimson Witch set, so it's really going to depend on which set you're using and how her damage is going to go. I genuinely think either one is completely viable. Like, it's really nice to see, you know, 50, 60, 70k crits on a charge attack, but it's also pretty nice to see like a 250, 260 or 70k crit with her ultimate as well. Okay, so time to get to the nitty gritty. What do I think of this character now that we've really kind of gotten everything important out of the way? Personally, I think Hu Tao is one of the best damage dealers in the game. She does incredible burst damage, either through this set that we're using for her charge attacks or by using the Crimson Witch set to do a bunch of damage with her ultimate. However, that being said, I really think that the thing that you need to ask yourselves as a player is whether or not you have a pyro character that you're happy with, one, and then two, if you're going to be learning these, you know, this technique to use for Hu Tao, so like the N1C, the charge attack into the jump. If you do decide to go for her first constellation, it makes this process a lot easier, and you can sprint cancel instead of jump cancel her charge attacks. But I can honestly say that out of all the damage dealers I use, Hu Tao is one of the most consistent and impressive damage dealers I have, and I have every character in the game. I have used Hu Tao in every single boss event that we've ever had. So the boss events where we try and get like a high score, every single time I use Hu Tao. That being said, I do have the Staff of Homa, which I think makes her a lot better. Not to say she can't function without it, but it does lend itself very well to the character design. If you do have the Staff of Homa, I think getting Hu Tao is honestly a no-brainer. She's amazing, so good. Now, if you don't have Staff of Homa, what should you do? I would say it's kind of a toss-up. Now, personally, I think she's good enough that even without the Staff of Homa, she's easily one of the best damage dealers in the game. However, I'm going to get real personal with you guys right now and tell you that if I had Hu Tao and I didn't have the Staff of Homa, it would eat at me every time I use her that she could be so much better. So, do I think you should pull for Hu Tao? Absolutely, honestly. I think as long as you can get past some of that stuff that I mentioned, you know, if you don't need the Staff of Homa and it won't drive you insane, then yes, absolutely, even if you don't have the Staff of Homa, I would get her. She's a phenomenal character, and it's actually really nice that she doesn't have to be on field as often as other characters need to do good damage. But, like I said, if it's going to sit there and it's going to bother you for the next 6 months that you don't have Staff of Homa, but you love Hu Tao, then I would really think about trying to get the Staff of Homa as well. Or maybe don't pull for Hu Tao at all, so that way you don't have to, you know, deal with that. But honestly, Hu Tao is one of maybe 4 units in the entire game that I would actually recommend people pull for. Just so you guys are aware. Like, it's pretty much just like, right now, it's just Hu Tao, Ganyu, Kazuha, and that's maybe it, to be honest. When I think of my units that are like must-have, those are the 3 that I can think of off the top of my head every single time with no hesitation. One last comment is that I think Hu Tao's banner is actually friggin' stacked too. Like, no joke, like, I think Toma is going to be really good. We have yet to see, but I think he's going to be really good. I highly recommend Diona and Sayu as both decent to very, very good healers. I think they can do a lot for you if you learn how to use them, especially once they get constellations. Alright guys, well hopefully that gave you some insight into Hu Tao, you know, talking about the normal stuff that we do on this channel and these series. But yeah, so feel free to hang out with us on Twitch, just Zarnessen over on Twitch, and then also, you know, feel free to give the video a like, a comment, and or subscribe if you enjoyed it, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.